irritability, restlessness, racing thoughts, nausea, shortness of breath, it's a sign that you've got it. Let's talk about it. It's anxiety. What do you do when you feel anxious? Well, I can tell you what I do. I go into my shell, like a turtle shell, except I'm not a turtle, I'm a man. On top of that, I'm an extrovert, so there's no excuse for going in my shell. But there are things that make all of us feel anxious, things that we can't control. Change creates anxiety because it gives us a feeling of being out of control. And when I can't control things, I don't know what to do. Any deviation from our normal schedule causes us to feel anxiety. Now, normally we all have places that we can go that de-stress us, that cause us to feel better. Normally you can go to the TV, maybe you go to the computer, maybe you go talk to some of your friends and family, but right now all those people are feeling stressed too. So instead of going there to de-stress, now I actually acquire more stress in the process. As a pastor and a spiritual person, I'm always asking myself, what does God think about these things? I mean, is God even aware of what's going on? Well, I want to let you know that He is. And in fact, God cares about what's stressing you out. He does. The world is crazy. You're not crazy. The world is. Every time you go outside, turn on the news, talk to a friend, you probably encounter something you say, man, that's crazy. And if we're not careful, we can start to believe it's just us. God knows we live in a crazy world. I mean, earthquakes, hurricanes, here in Miami, of course, disease, sickness, and now coronavirus. How about that? We didn't see that coming. And so stress, anxiety is natural. We don't know what's going to happen next a lot of times, and it makes us feel out of control. I hate feeling out of control. I'm a control freak, but you probably are too. You're probably just better at hiding it than I am. So I always want to know, what does God really think about this stress stuff? There is a scripture where He talks about it. Philippians 4 verse 8 speaks about anxiety, and He says, don't be anxious for anything. What? What do you mean, don't be anxious about anything? I can get anxious about everything. Don't be anxious about anything. All right, we'll have to circle back to that later. In the meantime, let's talk about some practical steps to help us battle against our anxiety. First, if you're prone to anxiety, don't watch the news 24/7. Okay? Stop it. Turn the station to something else. If you're prone to anxiety, that's going to make things worse. A lot of times, I like to tune into the news early in the morning, maybe tune in the afternoon, but I won't tune in at night. I'm trying to get my family on the same page. A little bit harder done than said, but watching all of that stuff right before you go to bed is going to contribute to insomnia, right? Because you're going to be stressed out about other things that you can't control. What do the numbers look like? How much food is in my area? What's going on with the people I love? Those are all things that are stressful, but at the same time, there's nothing you can do about it right before bed. So if it were me, I would try to give it a break, especially watching that news real late. Get your news, but try to do it before bed. Another thing I would say to you is get up. From where? From the bed, from the couch, from the table, wherever it is where your thoughts tend to spiral downwards if you're not careful. Exercise, walk a little bit, dance, maybe start a to-do list and work on some things you know you need to be able to do and you've been wanting to do for a long time. These are some things that are going to protect you from what? Anxiety, because you're moving. You're occupying your mind with other things instead of thinking about how rough things are. Now, if you're a to-do list person, you're probably happy because you're saying to yourself, yes, get to those people who are always sitting around. They need to make themselves busy. Okay, well, I'm coming for you next. Set boundaries for yourself, right? You are not going to get all those things done that are on your to-do list. You couldn't do it when everything was normal, let alone now where there's lots of factors that enter into your world that are outside of your control. So have a reasonable to-do list. Work on it. Get as many of those things done as you can, but know when to quit. Your family needs you. Your friends need you. Other people need you. And so you're not going to get all of those things done, to-do list people. Relax. Help us. Engage. The last thing is surrender to God the things that are outside of your control. I just saw a meme recently where a girl said to her mother, I finally learned how to release all the things that are making me stressful and surrender them to God, and now I have peace. And the mother said back to her, dear, you never had control anyway. All you had was anxiety. So I thought about that and I was like, wait, is that just a mother clapping back at her daughter? Well, there's a lot of truth to that. Most of the time, we don't have control over a lot of the things that we think we do. All we have is anxiety. So when we surrender to God, we actually surrender our thoughts and our emotions back to the one who can actually control it. Now, circling back to this thing God said about not worrying, a seemingly impossible request. I mean, he doesn't have to worry. He's God. He can do whatever he wants. But what about me? How do I handle my own worry? Well, it's interesting because when Jesus came, one of his primary objectives was to let us know that God cares about us. Not just in an arbitrary way, oh, God cares for you, but he cares for the things that are stressing you out. And he spoke very specifically and said, the birds in the air and the flowers that are in the field, God makes sure that they have what they need. He makes sure that they're beautiful and they have a home. If they are just birds of the air and flowers of the field, which we all love, how much more will the Father take care of you? Because you're more important than them to God. That's what he was saying. So if I really believe that God has got my back, that all the anxiety that I face and that I feel, he has it under control, then I can face that scripture with a little bit more confidence. It actually says this, don't be anxious about anything. Don't be nervous, but pray and give God your request and be thankful about it. When you do that, something incredible will happen. And that is, there's a peace of God that will come into your heart that doesn't make sense. It's crazy. Right in the midst of the most trying times, you'll feel peace instead of anxiety. That's my goal. That's my encouragement for you. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. wmorganbates.com. I'm here to help.